This is Frank Fantini, CEO of Fantini Research and publisher of Fantini's Gaming Report. We are here now with James Maida, who is the founder and CEO of Gaming Laboratories Int'l, or GLI, as everybody in the industry says. And GLI is an extraordinarily interesting company. It's privately held, and it came along at a time when it sort of, to many of us, captured lightning in a bottle. A time when the industry was exploding in growth and technology, and the testing labs of state gaming regulatory agencies just couldn't keep up. So because you're privately held, a lot of people don't know maybe the history of GLI. So maybe, James, you can tell us a little bit about that history, and then maybe finish up with where you think you're going in the future.
I think I started a lab in 1989 after working for the New Jersey Division of Gaming Enforcement. And really what we saw then was this explosion of growth on the landscape, but realizing that if every state had their own lab, suppliers would be forced to send equipment to all over the world for the same test. And we thought, why can't there be just a central clearinghouse where all the approvals could be done? Streamline the industry, make it cheaper for everybody, have common tests around the world, give some regulators a really great service that they probably couldn't do themselves because of government constraints, and at the same time provide better customer service maybe than what government labs can give to the industry. So we thought it was a win-win-win. We started off small. The third jurisdiction in the United States, South Dakota, used us. And frankly, every jurisdiction since, except for I think two, use GLI. They decided to use their own state lab. So I think the concept's real good, but we worked daily on those tenets, those common core that we started with. Great customer service, great technology, great quality, and great customer service to both regulators and the suppliers. So our core business has never really changed in 25 years.
You have so helped change the gaming industry that it's interesting when you listen on investor conference calls to companies, and people simply say, well, our games are in GLI now. I mean, it's right. Just almost, you have become a synonym for what you do. Because of what you do, James, you have a unique perspective on the industry as a whole. Can you tell us a little bit about how you see the industry today and how you see it developing?
I think the biggest key that we're seeing now is people like to talk about mobile gaming or internet gaming or land-based gaming. We really see it as gaming with different ways of distribution. And so what I think people would be surprised to know is that all of those great games that you see out on the floor here at the show, we're actually testing in the mobile way on handhelds. They're going on to social sites that we test for. They're going on iGaming sites. So we don't see it as different types of gaming. We see it as different distribution channels. And you'd be surprised about how much crossover there is between those markets. And that's what we're mostly excited about. Gaming is gaming. Lotteries are converging, state gaming agencies are converging, tribal gaming, it looks like it's all gaming, and they're all going to have all these various ways of distributing their product.
Yeah, that's very interesting. It actually is exactly what Patty Hart at IGT says. You know, it's all about distribution of content.
Right, right. And you see it like on scratch tickets. Lotteries have scratch tickets, but you can buy them online, and they may become electronic. It's just a different way of distributing the finite game, but it's just different ways of doing it.
How is internet gaming developing?
I think that for us these days, in terms of the generation, that's I think the generation one step below, younger than I think they want everything tomorrow. I always go back to 1989, South Dakota, the third jurisdiction. It took 14 years before gaming was really underway in California and Florida and those other big states. So you can't really expect iGaming to take off in America in 2 or 3 years. I know that we all want it to do that. So I'm okay with good, solid growth as long as it's regulated well and that nobody slips up. Because if you go too fast and there is a slip up, we could set ourselves back years. And I'm very comfortable with the way it's growing. I think California, I'm sure everybody's been talking to you about. I think that's a big milestone. If that gets done, many other states around it'll start falling. Just like the first riverboat state in the Midwest, once Iowa got it, well, Illinois had to have it, and then Missouri had to have it, and I think you'll see the dominoes start coming down. But we're not in a rush. I think it has to be done thoughtfully, high quality, consumer protections in place, and it has to play out.
Right.
So we're not in a rush.
As we alluded to, GLI basically invented an industry, and you are a synonym for what you do. But nobody operates without competition. Success breeds competition. What is your competitive advantage?
Yeah. I think that we want to be known firstly for quality. I think that when we talk to suppliers, they realize that GLI's quality is second to none. I think we just cannot lower our quality standards, and we spend enormous effort and money and investment in making sure that the quality product, that the testing that we put out is second to none. Because after all, GLI, being a synonym, as you've kindly said, it's synonymous with quality and testing, and we're never going to lower that standard. Also, I think customer service. Every day, I think we have 850 employees globally now. We're up 250 headcount since 2 years ago. Everybody comes in as indoctrinated with the same idea. Great customer service, transparency so that suppliers, operators, and regulators know where the products are at all times, much like FedEx when you ship a package, and that we're just not going to drop our quality standards in the name of either faster turnaround time or costs or things like that. Having said that, we have reduced our other competitive advantages. We have reduced our turnaround times by almost 60% in the last 2 years because of these additional resources that we bring to bear. And then I say our other competitive advantages. There's more than 130 regulatory agencies that only use GLI for their testing, and they realize that they just don't want to try anything else out. And for them, we owe the responsibility of just really good quality, transparent advice and testing.
I guess kind of touch on one more time what a little bit of the one of the earlier questions is, do you see gaming continually, whether it's in North America or globally, as a growth industry?
I think it's a growth industry. I think the area that I think surprised everybody is social gaming. And the growth of, you see it in the double down, and obviously IGT is public, so you can see what's going on there. But social gaming, I don't think was talked about 3 years ago. Right. And today, I think you spent enormous time in the Fantini report talking about that. So I think we see growth, but again, these channels, the way the content is pushed out will cause the growth. I think we're going to see great games, hundreds and hundreds of new product out on that floor today. But that coming through with all the channels is content is really what's going to drive us into the future.
You know, I mentioned Patty Hart earlier. Another of her observations is that when she first joined IGT's board of directors, there were 0 social gamers at G2E. This year, there are 21 social gaming exhibitors.
I think it's a segment that cannot be ignored, and I do applaud those companies who are getting into it, that they want to do it right, even though there's some discussion about regulation of it. We do know that right now it's not gaming, so the regulation doesn't necessarily follow, but those that are doing it in a thoughtful and meaningful way, and I think that will help that whole industry flourish.
GLI is a fascinating company. A lot of people would probably be interested in owning a piece of it if they could. Will GLI ever consider going public?
You know, I can never say never, but one of the things that we love about it is that we don't have to think about 13-week slices. We don't have to worry about putting numbers up on the board. I think that the quality and how we drive our business, we want to make sure we're doing the right thing for the industry. And it allows us to operate very nimbly, not being public. And so as we sit here today, there are no plans to do that. And I think that anything that we do in that vein, we would think about our independence and how the industry would perceive us. And I just did a whole round of promotions, which you know, and our thought process is that we want to grow the business for the next 25 years and have a thoughtful way of being in this industry for this generation and the next. And we don't want to jeopardize any of that by public or any other perceived issue that could come along with that.
Very interesting response. James, very informative. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Frank, for having me today.